7730390 and 7730490. Those telephone numbers once again are 7730390, 7730490. And please don't forget, for those of you who calling from outside of the Virgin Islands, you will need to use the 340 area code to get through. Yes, I want to say good morning to St. Croix, good morning to the Virgin Islands, good morning to the Caribbean, and good morning to the world. Yes, and the time right now is about 19 minutes after the hour of 8 o'clock. We apologize for the late start, but we're here nevertheless to start. And we're ready to start. We're ready to bring in the legendary one, and he's going to tell us all about the morning time. And of course, you got to watch it. Tell them, watch out for them banana trees. Man. Yes.
Morning time, everybody wake up morning time. They come from mountain, they come from mountain, they come from mountain side. They come from mountain, they come from mountain
I want
side.
to knock you all out Tuesday.
Wake up the
I was
beauty. Mountain, they come from mountain, they come from mountain side. They come from mountain, they come from mountain side. Tell me you're going to leave me now. You start up around. Now you have dresses of all kind, gold bangles on your hand, you fashion can. Yes, you're feeling grand. You're going back to the old and not remember morning time. Everybody wake up morning time. They come from mountain, they come from mountain, they come from mountain side. They come from mountain, they come from mountain side. Hey, tell my girl, you must remember that you born in Jamaica. I intended to live happy and raise a family. And you know how you don't get right. Smelling the old man tobacco pipe. I know you're coming back on your bending knees, but I'll
well,
tell
my
you
ice cream chicks on me, man. I thought that's some
when
witness
it
there.
was morning time. Everybody wake up morning time. They come from mountain, they come from mountain, they come from mountain side. They come from mountain, they come from mountain side. Wake up this beautiful morning, enjoy the presence of the breeze, into the beautiful garden. Tell me what's the banana tree. I hear they talk about morning time. Everybody wake up morning time. They come from mountain, they come from mountain, they come from mountain side. They come from mountain, they come from mountain.
Oh, yes, they always come from mountainside. Legendary ones, King Solomon, on the morning time. Yes, good morning once again, and welcome to another Friday morning gathering of Around the Table here with your host, Dimitri Pikey Copeman. And of course, yes, and, another Friday morning again. And I tell you, sometimes it's amazing to see how fast that Friday morning comes around, eh? It seemed like it was just yesterday I was here, man, last Friday. But here we are again with another Friday. And hey, a lot of things in the news, man. But I think I'm going to leave some of that alone, son. So many things came out there in the news this week. All kind of things happening, both locally, regionally, and nationally, Mr. Uh, we're going to leave some of that and try to take care of some other business. We're still in the month of March, and March month is being observed as Virgin Islands History Month, and also being observed as Women's History Month. And so we are going to try to uh, focus on the local women, local women from the Virgin Islands, specifically or particularly St. Croix. Yes. But before we get into all of that, we're going to do our daily readings, great wisdom teachings that come from our ancestors, values and principles to live by. And as we can see, as the time goes by, as the days goes by, and so much wrongdoings and negative things are being exposed, coming to light in the news and being exposed, we can see the benefit of trying to live our lives according to these wisdom teachings and the positive principles set forth by our ancestors many thousands of years ago. And I will begin my reading. When a man teaches, he speaks to the future. Yes, when a man teaches, he speaks to the future because although the person may pass on, the person will pass on, the teachings live on forever and live on into the future. Yes. When a man teaches, he speaks to the future. Speak ma'at and do ma'at. Speak ma'at and do ma'at. And we know that ma'at is the ancient symbol for truth, right, justice, or justice, truth, and right. Justice, truth, and right. And to these, we may also add balance, harmony, and reciprocity. Yes. Justice, truth, and right, balance, harmony, and reciprocity. I'm going to read a little something about, further explain a little bit about the Ma'at, concept of Ma'at, in a few minutes. Strive for excellence in all you do so that no fault can be found in your character. Strive for excellence in all you do so that no fault can be found in your character. And that's all we can do. Strive for excellence. No one is perfect. We may never be perfect. But the beauty of living a good life, is when you strive for excellence. Yes. Strive for that perfection. We may not be perfect, we may not reach there, but strive for that perfection. And it will translate into a much more positive and better life. It is in the development of character that instruction succeeds. It is in the development of character that instruction succeeds. Do ma'at that you might live long upon the earth. Do ma'at that you might live long upon the earth. Ma'at is that which endures and raises a person and a people up. Ma'at is that which endures and raises a person and a people up. Sweeter is the water of one who has given than the wine of one who has received. Sweeter is the water of one who has given than the wine of one who has received. Do to the doer that he may also do. Do to the doer that he may also do. Very reminiscent of do unto others as you would have them do unto you. The golden rule. Let your generosity reach one who needs it. Let your generosity reach one who needs it. It is not food or wealth which sustains a people and a community. It is righteousness. It is not food or wealth which sustains a people and a community. It is righteousness. When character is lost, all is lost. When character is lost, all is lost. The ruin of a nation begins in the homes of its people. The ruin of a nation begins in the homes of its people. And I'm going to just elaborate a little bit about Ma'at, the whole concept of Ma'at. There is a fundamental principle, okay, or notion that pervades all the myth, the morality, and the life of the ancient Kemetan people or the Egyptian people. And this notion or this principle is called Ma'at. Ma'at expresses equilibrium and poise. It represents accuracy, honesty, fairness, faithfulness, and rectitude. It is the symbol of justice and truth. This profound awareness of equilibrium and harmony gave the Egyptian people and their leaders a wholesome and pure moral sense, as the early visitors to Egypt have attested to. Yes. The Ma'at is the principle of divine order. This order is both in the laws of nature and in the morality among people. Thus, the organization of society and the cosmos are founded on the same principle. The human being is seen to be a replica of his or her external universe. It is perfectly sensible to make the analogy between the harmonious governance, which is balance in behavior, of the individual person according to moral principles. The harmonious governance of society according to ethical principles, and the harmonious motion of the cosmos according to physical laws. And that is just a little elaboration on the concept of Ma'at. And I think we have a caller on line 2, so let's go to the phone lines. Good morning, caller, and welcome.
Yes, Mr. Copeman.
Yes, yes, yes. Good morning to you, and how are you?
I still standing strong.
That's good to
Mr.
hear.
Copeman,
Yes.
listen here.
Hmm.
Let me say this we in a muck, you know. But before I lose my train of thought, because I like to try use my brain memory, you know,
Hmm.
because we don't have much of that. Like, hold on, we had a phone and could have my number. Remember, like, couple Fridays back, I tell you, if the VI don't do something with dog will do something with the VI?
Yeah.
Okay.
Boy, hey man, that was something,
But
that
the
was like a
universe will
bombshell.
listen, you know.
Huh?
The universe, the more time the universe will listen.
Yes, yes.
Because it just got done. I mean, I would like
Well, when you send vibrations out the universe, people think that the words just die when you say things,
yeah, man.
and how that they don't just die, those things, that vibration goes out into the cosmos, man, go out into the universe, and they come back, and they come back.
That's right.
So it's important to send out positive vibes so that positive vibes will come back to you,
And that was positive. That was positive. I said, if the VI don't do something with Dow,
Hey, well,
and it was pertaining to our report when he closed up that. So now that he's been indicted, like he ain't indicted yet, but he's and so forth. Does his thing still stand with the doc?
Well, I would imagine it does until the new director for Port Authority comes in and probably changes that or reverse it or something like that.
So how he get more balls than the senators? That's what I don't understand. What is senators take for anything?
Well,
He had,
well,
I don't understand that.
I'm not too certain. I'm not too sure of this, right? But, so don't take my word. But it seems to me as if the senators really don't have much of a say when it comes to the Port Authority. I mean, yes, they're the lawmaking body, but it is the director for the Port Authority, whoever the person is that runs the Port Authority, it is their responsibility to set policy for the Port Authority. You know, the senators. Well, I believe they would have a say when it comes to if it deals with if the policy that's being set affects in some way the our Organic Act, the laws of the Virgin Islands. If it impinges on the laws or have some type of effect on the laws, then I believe this is where the senators or the legislature comes into play. But the director really has the authority to set policy, not necessarily make laws now, but set policy for that agency.
Well, I hope that the people of St. Croix, really push back and say, look, we want our port back open up because it looks like they're pushing us to the back of the bus and I'm realizing it. It's like little by little, like a tsunami.
Well, it's happening in um all sectors of life here in the Virgin Islands.
Yeah,
all
yeah,
sectors. I mean, it's happening all over. This same attitude. You know what I'm saying? This attitude that it's all and man, it's gonna take a while. It's gonna be hard to get rid of it. We are going to have to try to elect a different breed of people because the people we have right now are too much either complacent or too much involved in the corruption itself. So they're not really taking the actions that they really should take. So we're gonna have to really this election, and I really don't have tell you the truth. I'm very very pessimistic about that. I don't have much faith in the people of electing some real serious leaders, but that is what is needed. That is what is needed right now. We got to have some different people. Things are not going to change until we get some different people, and of course, different individuals in the legislature. And of course, a lot of it depends on us, the voters. We are going to have to make careful selections, man. And not fall for the same rhetoric, the same campaign slogans, the same nonsense every year, and voting for people because that's he and my brother friend, he and my sister is friend now. He's a friend of the family for years and all this kind of thing. And I mean, it's like we have to get away from that because see, a person might be a good friend of the family and be all right, but then what he does in terms of politics is a whole different matter. You know what I mean? Because I wouldn't name names, but I could name if I had to, I could name a whole bunch of people who I know, people who are in elected office who I know are supposed to be. I mean, they might be good friends that we get along fine, and on a personal level, you and that person might be all right, and they. But when they get into elected office now, it's a whole different matter. It's like a different animal. It's a different person. Well, because I mean, look here. Not to cut you off. Keep in mind, what I said because look. I mean, look. Lately, what happened here now? We had this whole mess with Carlton Dow come out, right? Now he is being well, he's not indicted yet, but he's being challenged not by prosecutors in the Virgin Islands. These prosecutors in Puerto Rico. It is Puerto Rico prosecutors down in Puerto Rico who are making this charge against him.
And like the government, that's a done deal. That's a
then look at what came out again. What was yesterday or the day before there? With this guy Richardson. Well, he was working with Charlemagne. They all were involved. They were all involved in the scam. Yeah, I mean this guy Richardson. No, I mean I read in the papers where there were a whole bunch of people, especially there in St. Thomas, who wrote letters to the judge to try to convince the judge to have leniency on him, to give him a little break and don't be so hard on him and all this kind of thing. And I just shake my head because I'm saying, first of all, one of the people who wrote letters, I mean, that was like a red flag went up because one of them was supposedly written by Amos Carty, who himself been in a whole thing there with fraud and whatnot, right? And I just shake my head because I say, what it is? Imagine what we got here involved now. Bandits writing letters to support other bandits. You know, yeah, crooks writing letters to support another crook, to ask the judge to be lenient on another crook. I mean, this is crazy. This is a big papi show, son. This thing is, I mean, you know, it's amazing. Then I read some statements that his son made. You know, I don't know these people. I don't know them personally, but I mean, when you look at the matter, you know, his son made statement, oh, my dad is a good man and he has always been honest and he's been this and he's been upright and I'm saying, but then, you know, they caught him on tape. I mean, that is why he was convicted. Ain't nothing but a hearsay. They actually had tape recordings of these people doing their mess. Now, how could he be a good man and be all honest and you defrauding the people of the Virgin Islands? You know, but that's a customary thing wrong here, you know. When you see people do all kind of dirtiness and all kind of nastiness, but when they get catch, then they want people give mercy. They want mercy. All of a sudden they find out that, and not only that alone, some of them find out that they're black now. They have this black consciousness in them now. Or you are trying to sink another black man. You are trying to destroy another black person. Well, all the time the thieving and defrauding the people of the Virgin Islands, they don't realize that it's black people that defrauding. They're hurting their own black people. When they're stealing the money and doing all the nastiness, it's their own people they're hurting. The same black people now they're running and begging for leniency and to have mercy on them and all this type of thing. And so, you know, but hey, my son, it seems as if we in the Virgin Islands, until we get away from these kind of things, this is what killing us, you know. These are the things that killing us as a people here, man. And until we get away from it, nothing is going to change. Michael Jackson said it best, you know. Like him or hate him, but Michael Jackson said, I like Mike, you know, and he said it, the man in the mirror. The man in the mirror, nothing is going to change until the man in the mirror changes his ways. And that's it. But now you go ahead and speak, Kemba. Sorry to hug your time, you know, but yes.
You know, when great minds on the same level, you know, it's hard to relate. You know what I mean? That's why people, you know, find people the same like mind. You understand? So it just go through. What you call it? Let's talk as well. But let me tell you, back in the days, 2019, I was like, my name's Sean Woman, right? I used to tell them the crook, the corrupt, and the cabal. Now, me and the guest on myself. And they used to say, you gotta prove it. Stop calling them that. And X, Y, and Z. And again, you understand? The uniform has spoken.
Yes.
You know what they like to do? When it says they can't use you, control you, hold you how they want to hold you, right? To the kayak kind of thing, you know. And I'm so glad that I strong enough that it's me and Yahweh, because you have a name, you know, who stand with me. It wasn't me, you know, Mr. Copeman. I had to come up with a message myself. I'd have been so ashamed because I have so much shame to talk about for myself. But he gave me the message to give our people. And ain't everybody who get ears mean they could hear, you know. And ain't everybody who get eyes mean they could see. And ain't everybody get understanding mean they can understand. So the message is for you, and you are focused on the message. You don't worry, you know. Because a lot of things are said right here, down to eyes.
It came to pass, yes. Well,
like, oh my goodness,
well, yes,
I can go.
I could attest to that because I can remember hearing you on the radio talking about a whole lot of these things, type of things already. Even before we knew each other like this,
Mm-hmm.
I've heard you on this station. I've even heard you on Radio One.
Yes.
You know, I remember times in the past. This is in the past when you would call Radio Ones, and I didn't know who you were, but I would always hear this name, Strong Woman, and you know, and I would hear you saying things, and yes, I could say a lot of those things have come to pass. A lot of those very things that you were saying, the warnings that you were giving, and letting people know about things gonna be coming down and happening. A lot of these things have come to pass. Yes.
So like I call for my my thing is, I tell all people, we got to be vigilant, especially with these black holes. I thought the only thing, John and St. Thomas having a black
Oh,
hole.
we had
But
some this.
I
We had
said,
some this past
I
this
talked
week.
to my crew job people and they said they had black hole too.
Yeah,
And
man.
another thing is, before I get to talk to you, the phones were out. If it turns the whopper, it's not a phone. Now, you know, before long ago, you had landlines, you could have called even when power out.
Yes, I
Now,
remember
there's
that.
so much robberies and a rise, so much blackout, and not to even have where you could dial 911. This is very alarming and disturbing.
Well, the phone system really changed up because I remember, like you just said, I remember times even when current the power was out and you could still use your phone.
You still
But,
can't know
but
you
I
can't
but I noticed
nobody.
in recent times now when the power goes, your phone is out, and even sometimes I where I live at least, when it rains heavy rain, the phone is also out. I can remember times when I don't have a landline anymore. We gave that up because it was just nonsense, man. I mean, you know you have if you have a rain for like there have been times when it was raining all day and you will be without phone service all day and until the next day. Sometimes no phone service. The rain might ease up a little bit, and you still don't have phone service until maybe late in the second day, and this kind of thing. So just decided to and then you see, I was playing music a lot, doing and I needed to
Yeah.
have the phone because I needed to have people call me. Band members will be calling me and all this type of thing. So I needed to, really have a way to stay in touch with people. And so I just couldn't take the landline thing, and I gave up the landline, and I got a cell phone. You
But
know,
a cell phone now doing the same thing. You
well,
might say last
the
night
cell
up until
phone, yes,
last
the cell
night
phone
until
has
use
its
the
own
first
set of
person
problems.
to call
Yes.
out.
Mhm.
Up until last night, people been trying to call me. Use the first person Wednesday night, the same thing happened.
Mhm.
The cell phone. So now heck, you get power outage and a cell phone. Now since you have an emergency, somebody breaking into your house, God forbid, anything, you can't even call out. Who is going to reimburse us with the power going out to your appliances? Who is going to reimburse us that heritage you did? Now this is private now. We should get together and put a class action lawsuit against via these companies. Okay, because now you putting my life at line. I pay for a so am I going to get credit? I pay for a service that heritage some people working remote. You can't even call out. You can't even do a business transaction.
Mhm.
I mean, this is people might think it's a little simple thing and so forth, but a simple thing is what to create a big
Yeah, but
havoc.
it's not a simple thing at all. That is not a simple thing at all. Somebody may figure that it's simple because how you are explaining it here, but it's not a simple thing at all. It's a serious thing, man.
Yeah,
It's very
man.
serious.
I
You
would
know.
get so much women tell I with an oil tanker. I tell I we were getting that cheap fuel from what you call it. And the government or a company, $6.8 million. We gonna face many blackout nights. You see people now robbing people broad daylight, they don't care hungry dad, eating raw meat, AI taking over, artificial intelligence. You know what I mean? And we have playing pretty dumb.
Mm.
Okay, as though like, okay, ain't nothing, but eventually it trickles down to us. And how are
Yeah.
we
We're
like,
playing peeling
how
keyboard.
we safeguarding ourselves, just like we prepare for a storm, how are we preparing for this storm? Because right now it's going into a great reset, you know. It's a reset for everybody, you know. And when a man get insurance to eat and you want, he coming to you. Nobody want to plan the car, but everybody will want to raise the bond.
Hmm.
So again, Mr. Copeman, I just the messenger,
Hmm.
and I'm glad to hear you. Did you do your breathing?
Breathing, Hey, I breathe it all the time. But listen, I know I asked you for something. I know you forgot it, but that's okay. I'll give you a little time.
No, I didn't. I have. You got to send me the name again because I write it down.
Oh,
Think I
okay.
did,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I'm
And
not. Yeah.
this week was kind of little, iffy for me, but I comment to come, but I ain't forget.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
The reason why I ask about the book is it's a very good book. When you give you a good bit of knowledge, a good understanding of what's going on here in the Virgin Islands. So, I mean, this fellow Boyer did an excellent job in terms of when he the parts of the book that deals with modern times, and he deals with that more of the book. He goes into from back when colonial times, but he deals with what's going on in the modern times, and he deals with the politics especially, and the society here, man. It's a good read, and it gives you a good understanding, good knowledge, and good understanding of what took place, especially like in 1940s and 1950s. Because see, those things, what happened then, have a great effect on what took place in the 60s and 70s, and what's even happening up to now.
But
You know.
I always say whatever happened in history always repeats itself, just like I say, don't be surprised if
Well,
America don't appoint a governor. But just give me the name, I will work on it because I have somebody who works at the university
okay,
that could
mhm,
probably impact them to see,
okay.
you know what I mean?
You ready to
While looking at it, I
you ready to
am
write?
procrastinating at this time.
You ready to write?
Oh boy. Yes, mate. I will sometimes
Yeah,
say, because I can always look at the
yeah, but
answer.
you see, but anyway, I was telling you that it makes a it's very important. People like to disconnect and separate things, but the past, the present, and the future are all connected. You
Correct.
you can't separate them. Now you can study them individually, but in other words, you can study the past individually, but always keep in mind that the present is the present has been affected by the past. It is
Correct.
because of what happened in the past why we have this
What we're
present
going
this
through now.
present time,
Yep.
and right, and it's because of what is taking place in the present time will determine what is going to happen in the future. The
Okay, so
art,
give me the name quick while I write in
yes, the name of the book is America's Virgin Islands.
America,
America's apostrophe S,
America,
yeah, Virgin Islands.
Island.
Yeah, a history of human rights and wrongs. A history of
Yes,
a history of human rights
I
and
got it.
wrongs.
Got it.
And the name of the writer is William Boyer. Boyer.
William B
Boyer.
O
Y
Y E
E
R.
R. Yes. William Boyer.
William Boyer. B
Mhm.
O Y E R.
Yes.
I got it. American
America's.
Virgin Islands: A History of Human Rights Around by William Boyer.
Mhm.
All right, Mr. Copeman.
Yes.
Have a beautiful Friday until next week. We're not Holy Week, we still in less people. So you want to go to the devil or the Roman. All right. Bye bye.
Okay. Bye now. Have a nice weekend and a safe one too.
You too.
Okay. Yes, folks. And now we're going to deal a little bit with our. This is Virgin Islands History Month, and first of all, let me just say I want to salute Miss Kathleen Dowling uh, as a scholar and an author and an outstanding black woman, Virgin Islands woman, for this is Women's History Month. And for those of you who might not know, Miss Kathleen Dowling was the one who really brought us all of that great information about the emancipation of 1848, especially about the life of Moses Gottlieb, better known as Bodo, and also Martin King. And she has another book in the works coming out, and it's also it deals a little bit basically another aspect of the emancipation of 1848. But I believe, well, I'm not going to give out too much information. I'll just leave. I won't do that. But she has another book coming out. She it will be the third volume actually So she has already published 2 books, and she has a third one coming out, and they all deal with the 1848 emancipation event. And I'm telling you, this lady has to be saluted, has to be uh, uh, celebrated in a sense, because what she has done, she has revealed, she has brought knowledge and information that the Virgin Islands have been craving, have been looking for years. And she took the initiative on her own, without any government sponsorship, without any government help. And she had this information, the Danish information, translated, and she recorded it, printed it in a book, or in books, I should say. So she needs to be commended for that. As for this is Women's History Month, and she's an outstanding Virgin Islands woman, outstanding Crucian woman, and I commend her and applaud her for the work that she has done, and I'm looking forward to her third book. I mean, for years, people here in the Virgin Islands wanted to know more about Mr. Gottlieb Bodo. Everybody wanted to know about his birth dates, how his things, certain things about his life. She revealed all this. She even showed us who his father was. I mean, she gives us a lot of information surrounding the emancipation, the actions of Bodo, the actions of Martin King, and many other individuals who were involved in the fight for emancipation. And I tell you, she is to be commended for an outstanding job. Yes, Miss Kathleen Dowling, take a bow. Yes. And so I would start off with her as being one of the very first women to be acknowledged for this Virgin Islands History Month, and also for Women's History Month. Miss Kathleen Dowling, and on the work that she has done so far. Yes. Okay, and from here now we're going to try and get to deal with our outstanding musicians, because uh, we have a tendency sometimes to just be so forgetful. We tend to forget our own so quickly, and tend to neglect so many outstanding Virgin Islanders. Now, I have a list that I made of some outstanding Virgin Islands musicians, and that list is not. I will tell you, it's not to say a comprehensive list. It's a list of just about maybe 25, 29 to 30 individuals. Now, of course, there are many more than that, much more than that, but I selected those people simply because uh, at the time I was involved, was doing a lot of workshops. People would call me to do workshops or do some type of lecture, give some information about Virgin Islands music. I did a lot of that in the past years, did some little lectures, did little workshops and things on Virgin Islands music and musicians. And so I wanted to have a list that I could work with, a list, and rather than trying to memorize all these names and memorize all the information, I made a list of just about 30 outstanding individuals. Now, as I said, there are many more. There are much more than 30, but I just selected 30 of the most outstanding ones. Some of them are people that we know. Some of them are people that we know who are, well known, and then some are people who are not so well known, but are deserving of that recognition because of what they did. So again, I invite callers to call in, and you can give your names. If you feel that a certain person that should have been mentioned and I didn't mention that name, I missed them, you're free to call in and tell us that name. Okay, so I'm inviting the listening audience to call in and give your names also. Okay, I will have my names I'm going to read off, but you can I'm going to be able to say a little bit about each person. Hopefully, I'll have the time. And I can see we are at almost at the top of the hour, 9 o'clock hour, which means I only have a one more hour left. But hopefully, I could mention all of these names and give a little bit about the person, and he mentioned more names that I have here, because there's some other names that a whole lot of other names that I didn't mention here. Okay. Um, I could, let me just recap. Last week I mentioned the name. I think I did mention the name of someone, to somebody called, that I did mention the name. And this person, this individual, was a vocalist, a singer. He was a young man. He died at a very young age. As a matter of fact, he died. He was still in the, I believe, in the 12th grade. From the sources that people who knew him and the sources that I spoke to, they told me that he died. Uh, he was still in high school, but he was already a professional musician, and he was getting ready to graduate high school when he took ill and passed away. And that person, this person I'm speaking about, is individual named Cyril Garvey, and his name, I believe, he was Junior, Cyril Garvey Junior, and he was a singer here in St. Croix. And from the information I got from people who knew him and who heard him, he was a very good singer. He was probably one of the best uh, vocalists we had here in St. Croix and the Virgin Islands during the 1940s. I think he died in the late 1940s. Mr. Cyril Garvey. And Cyril Garvey, he was the son of another prominent educator named Miss Unita Garvey. She was a fifth grade teacher in the public school system. And folks, we are at the top of the hour. We're going to take a short break for station identification, make some money for the station, pay homage to our sponsors, and we're coming right back directly.
Stand up for decency. Stand up for compassion. Stand up for respect. Stand up for your community. Stand up for your future. Stand up for the Virgin Islands. WSTX FM 100, the soul of the Caribbean. When we're not talking, you'll hear all your favorite songs, including calypso, jazz, love song, gospel, and those country legends, giving you more music variety. This is AM 970 WSTX.
iTown in Paradise. It's your choice for iTown in Paradise. And fish, chicken, steak, and lamb. It's a great place to eat. With our menu that includes something for everyone, including vegetarian, vegan,
good morning, and welcome back to another Friday morning gathering of around the table. Yes, and we are going to continue now with our spotlight on Virgin Islands musicians. Yes, and I was just mentioning the singer Cyril Garvey. You don't hear hardly anyone today mention the name of Cyril Garvey, but Cyril was from what I understand, a very outstanding vocalist. He was one of the best vocalists we had here. This is in the 1940s, mind you. Not in the 60s or 70s or 80s or 90s. 1940s, from us way back. He was a very outstanding singer. And this is the reports that I got from, people who knew him and were around at that time. Okay, and we'll get back to that some more. But we're going to start at the head of the list. We have Mr. Alton Adams, who was the first black bandmaster of the U.S. Navy. Mr. Alton Adams of St. Thomas. Yes. He had one of the very first brass bands, civilian brass bands in St. Thomas. And when the Virgin Islands were purchased by the U.S. in 1917, a few months later, Mr. Adams and his band was inducted into the U.S. Navy. The reports said that the wife of the naval governor at the time of the purchase of the islands wanted to have a resident concert band in the islands that belonged to the Navy. There were bands, but they were civilian bands. But she wanted a band that basically belonged to the Navy, a Navy band. She wanted a resident Navy band for the Virgin Islands, and so Mr. Alton Adams was the one was tapped for that position. Really, he was the one that was asked to assemble a band, and he and his civilian band were inducted into the Navy, and they became soldiers, and their job was just to play music. What Adams also did is he recruited members from the island of St. John and some of the best musicians from St. Croix at that time to be a part of the band. And I don't have that list here with me, but I have a list of most of the original members of the Navy band, the Alton Adams Navy Band, which was active from about 1917 up to about the 1920s, maybe even as late as the early 1930s. The band was active, and they did a lot of traveling around, especially on the eastern coast of the United States, and playing concerts and whatnot. And of course, Alton Adams also has the distinction of writing a song called the Virgin Islands March, which is actually also the Virgin Islands anthem, Mr. Alton Adams. Then next we have Mr. Claude Benny Benjamin.
Mine too.
Okay. Good morning, caller, and welcome.
Good morning, Dr. Copeman.
Hey, good morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. But as a just student, I hear you talk about music. Something
Yes.
piqued my curiosity.
Yes, I'm going to focus. I'm trying to focus on that for
I
at
want
least.
to ask you,
Mhm.
where in the Virgin Islands I could go and see a music museum to see a banjo make out of a butter pan, a sardine can? Where I could see that kind of thing.
The last person who I know around who had attempted to make one, because he said he did it as a young boy, but and it was a sardine can banjo is something that really children did, trying to imitate adults. The last person I know, I think he made one to show somebody, and I'm not positive, but he's passed away now. But last person I know to have done that must have been Mr. James Brewster. He was living there in St. Thomas down in Corwin Terrace, and he gave interviews and spoke about how when he was a young boy he made sardine can banjos and things, imitating his father and the adults that he saw playing music. But
Dr. Coleman, people never used to make pipe and flute out of like different type of little wood
don't know if it was
Yes,
bamboo or something.
bamboo. The people made pipes out of bamboo, and then later on they would use a pipe. People and even maybe PVC. But I know.
I think that's a PVC pipe already too.
Yeah, but
You
they were
mean
made
that
from. They were made
that's
from.
the Copeman.
Mostly it was made from bamboo or a piece of metal pipe because PVC didn't really come in here the original until about maybe the 70s or 80s. So
Okay.
but the material that was used was bamboo or a piece of metal pipe. I could tell you for sure that Mr. James Miller, who is now passed away, he was a flute player from out of Grove Place. He and his brothers had a band named the Miller Brothers, the Miller Brothers Quadrille Band, and he played a fife made from a piece of pipe and stopped up on one end with a piece of cork. It was a pipe with 6 holes, and he played that. I don't know if his family still have it. Still have the fife. He has passed away now a good more than 10 years now. So I don't know if the family would still have that instrument, but he played one. Because I remember sitting in with a group
The reason
a couple of
I
times.
ask you these questions, right, is because we are coming to the end of VA History Month, right?
Yes.
Come next Tuesday, the 31st,
Right.
Friday.
That's right.
So I know that for some reason, right, when there is a deficit in the budget when it comes to education, the 2 programs that I always get cut is music and the arts.
Oh yes, I know that from my experience teaching for years. I've been teaching 33 years. I work in the school system, and you're right with that. Absolutely correct with that. Those are the first 2 things to get cut when you hear budget cuts coming around, and music and phys ed. Those were the 2 things. The arts. Well, music, the arts, and phys ed. Those 3. Yeah.
But Dr. Coleman, if I was a musician, and I was a high schooler that was an excellent musician, could I get a full rate scholarship for being a musician and save my parents $1,000 in tuition cost?
Well, I would say this. Let me answer it this way. Yes, if you were in St. Croix, in St. Thomas, I'm not too certain, but in St. Croix, yes, because Stanley and the 10 Sleepless Nights band, they have been offering scholarships for music students to go and study music. And I know there is one young lady right now who was a student at the St. Croix Educational Complex. She was in the music department there, played with the band, but she also was a part of a Quebec band that Stanley and the 10 Sleepless Nights started, a student band they organized in the school. This is some years ago. And she was a flute player, and she received a scholarship to go and study music. She went to Howard University, she studied, and now she is a music teacher, I believe at Central High School. So yes, there is one scholarship that I know of.
It's because to me, it seems like education, especially in the Virgin Islands, they don't take these things serious. And then you cut a whole segment of the population out that this might be their talent, and that they should be able to help themselves and help their parents, because when I went to college now, I said most colleges have a music department.
Yes.
They have a marching band.
Yes.
Some might have a jazz band.
Yes.
Some might have other different types of bands.
Most of the big schools do have a jazz band. Most of the big schools, most of the bigger schools do have a jazz band as well as a concert band.
And don't forget the marching band to go around.
Well, that's the same. Marching band and the concert band would be basically the same thing. Yeah. But they do.
So
yes, you're right.
those students, the reason I say that, my best friend at class, he was a drummer in the marching band. He had a scholarship. While the rest of us had to ask our parents back 40 some years ago to come up with $10,000 a year. That was difficult. So the reason I'm saying all of this is that parents who have children who are musically inclined, and they say, well, how am I going to pay for a secondary education? These are things that we should be fostering.
Right. Well, I know that
when you look at education in the Virgin Islands, coming from this is from me in the 70s now. 2 things I see that made the drop of rate go up was when they cut like music, like I say, art, and then when they cut what do you call it again? Like tech, like when you take out like people who like
vocational arts. Yeah.
Yeah, when they took those two things out, because everybody's not going to be scholastically inclined to want to go out to school. So some people who have this God-gift talent, why aren't we fostering it? You know, things like not only, for instance, we need a music museum for real.
Yes, I've always said that. I've always advocated for that.
People who these people was, you know, and to have the instruments there to see like you say, a flute make out of pipe, a bamboo, a banjo make out of banjo, kind of butterfly. These are things that is real history, and music plays a big role. And I think that not only would it benefit us education-wise and have a name for our children, but we could also benefit from having tourists come if you have a museum.
Well, if I hope I could get some time, I'm gonna have to cut you short. But if I get some time, I'm going to read out some names to reinforce what you are saying, to prove what you are saying is you're absolutely correct. You're absolutely right. I mean, we have had some outstanding people. People have with achievements that you might not even know. People might not even realize that we had people here in the Virgin Islands that did these things. For example, the second person on my list I was just mentioning is a man named Claude Benny Benjamin. He was a songwriter during the 1940s, the 50s, up to the 60s, and even into the 70s. This man became a millionaire from songwriting. He wrote songs for the popular singers in the 40s, and most of them were white singers. And he was writing songs that they were singing. You know, people in the type of music that you heard. Yes, and far back he was writing songs for people like, you know, like singers like Frank Sinatra, Bing Crosby, and those kind of people. Benny Benjamin, he wrote his first big hit name, and I think the group named the Mills Brothers, which was four black men who were brothers. They had a group named the Mills Brothers, very popular. Right. And they sang one of his songs. It was a big hit. I would like have been one of his biggest hits, a song named I Don't Want to Set the World on Fire. You know, I mean, that's Benny was, he was really big. And it was, you know, a lot of people don't realize, but for a black man in the 1940s to rise up to become one of America's greatest songwriters wasn't an easy thing. You know, because like I said,
Dr. Copeman, so you could continue the program. When you just tell me that's something I just learned, and they say you learn something new every day. So that is something that
if you get a chance,
Dr. Copeman, that would be inspiring.
Yes,
inspiration for our young children.
Yes, it is. And if you have a chance, you get a chance. If you get a chance to read that book by Miss Ruth Molina, Profiles of Outstanding Virgin Islanders. Yeah, he is in there. And all the songs that he composed. As a matter of fact, I could tell you this, you might be familiar with this song. His last big hit was a song named Please Don't Let Me Be Misunderstood. And I think it was done by a disco group somewhere in the early 1970s. But that was his last big hit, Please Don't Let Me Be Misunderstood. I think it was even recorded. I think a lot of people did it. I think Nina Simone even did a recording of it. And a group from England, a rock group, even did their own version of it. But that was one of his last big hits. Please Don't Let Me Be Misunderstood. You know, but the man was really big. The man was really big, and it's a huge achievement for him to be a songwriter in the 1940s, a black man, and his songs being recorded by the top white singers of the day, 1940s, the 1950s, up to 1960s. You know, I mean,
that's even hard to imagine. That's during Jim Crow era.
Exactly. I was talking to my daughter, and I was trying to tell her about. And I said, you know, it was no mean feat. I mean, it was a hell of an accomplishment for a black man in the 1940s. This is the time when, like you said, segregation, Jim Crow, all these things were rampant, man. You know. But yeah. Anyway, let me continue, man. Yes.
It's always a pleasure, and if we could get our elected officials, I can't understand them growing up in the war channels with all these things because most of them are my age. I'm 61, I'm 50, 62 in a week. So to remember to know all of these things and to see that the generation now that we have no idea.
No idea. Yes. And
that is cultural tradition.
Yes.
How do we keep it alive if it's not taught and the children have no idea about what took place?
And for me personally, I'm extremely proud of Benny Benjamin because he was my great uncle, my grandmother's brother. He was my grandmother's brother. Yeah. So I even played the one song I used to play for years with my band. It's a ballad type, I don't want to set the world on fire. It was one of those sentimental ballad type tunes, romantic tunes, but from the 1940s, man. I mean,
that's all like when I was small, where we used to play the boleros.
Yes. Yeah, man. Okay. Yeah, man. Good, man. Thank you for the call. Yes. Yes, man. Same here too, man.
I hope Dr. Copeman that that our leaders listen to these programs and take solace and say, this is right. This is something that we need to preserve for our future generations. And Dr. Copeman, I'll hang up and continue listening to the program.
Yes, man. Okay, man. All right. All the best, man. Take care. Have a happy one. Yes.
Bye-bye.
Yes. And next on the list, we have Mr. Hugo Owen Bourne. He was a Sintonian organist and educator. A very, very prominent too, very outstanding musician. Mr. Hugo Bourne wrote a book. There's a book that is still being used named Virgin Islands Folk Songs. And actually, the book was written from his thesis. That was his doctoral thesis when he was going for his PhD. Hugo Bourne collected some Virgin Islands folk song, Quelbe songs, and he arranged them in a choral style. And what he did basically is he changed the lyrics for some of them because some of them, the lyrics were very, what you would say, a little raunchy. And but he cleaned it up and make it nice for school children to sing. He changed the lyrics and cleaned it up and fixed them so that school children could sing these things. And this book is still in this Virgin Islands education system. I don't know how many teachers use it, but the book is still there. Virgin Islands Folk Songs by Hugo Owen Bourne. He was an outstanding master organist and keyboard player, man. Yeah. Then we have Mr. James Brewster. I don't think I really need to say much about him, but I know I had the pleasure of being able to play music with his band and listen to his wisdom and even record with him and travel with him. As a matter of fact, when he lived in St. Thomas, there was a time back in about 1994, 1995, and maybe 96 when I used to go to St. Thomas almost every weekend to play with his band. Mr. James Brewster. He's known as the king of Quelbe. They like to say scratch, but I don't like to use that term. But yes, Mr. James Brewster, man, it was a singer and a guitarist. Yes, and then we have Mr. Dennis Charles. Dennis Charles from St. Croix was one of the top jazz drummers in the late 1950s and early 1960s in New York City. And as a matter of fact, there is a documentary made about his life. I can't remember the name of the documentary right now, but you can Google the name Dennis Charles, a drummer, jazz drummer. He played drums, and the music he played was jazz. And he was one of the first actually to start mixing the wild Indian and masquerade drum rhythms with jazz. Because I can remember in the 80s, he came home to St. Croix for a visit, and he got with his father. His father was Mr. Frank Charles, who was known to play masquerade drums and play banjo and all this type of thing. And he learned those rhythms and the music from his father. He went back to New York City and he started blending that masquerade drum rhythms with jazz. He made a recording named Triangle, and you probably still find it online. But Mr. Dennis Charles played with some of the top jazz musicians in New York City, before he passed away. Then you have Mr. Cyril Criqui. Mr. Cyril Criqui was an organist from St. Thomas, Mr. Cyril Criqui of St. Thomas. He was an organist, he was a poet and an educator. And his children also became musicians. His one son, Mr. Earl Neil Criqui, was a jazz pianist, played with people like Mungo Santa Maria, Nina Simone, and a whole bunch of other, Oliver Nilsson, and a whole bunch of other people he played jazz music with. Mr. Neil Criqui, outstanding piano player, man, outstanding. The last thing he was doing, he was teaching music out at Oberlin Conservatory in Ohio, and he passed away in 2000. He passed away in the year 2000. Mr. Earl Neil Criqui. Another one of Mr. Cyril Criqui's children would be Joyce Criqui Matthews. Joyce Criqui Matthews was a musician and an educator. As a matter of fact, she was the head of the music program in Puerto Rico for many years, public school, the music program in the public schools. For many years, she was the head of that, director of that music program. I don't know if she's still alive. I haven't heard anything about her lately, but for many years, she was living in Puerto Rico, and she was the head of the music program in the public school systems in Puerto Rico. Then we have Mr. Milo Francis, Emile Milo Francis, and I don't think I need to explain too much on Milo. He was a band leader. He had his band Milo and the Kings here for many years, one of the top bands in not just the Virgin Islands, but the entire Caribbean. Yes, Mr. Milo Francis, outstanding musician, you know. And then we have Mr. Ernest Prince Galloway, one of the best Calypsonians we had here out of the Virgin Islands, and he's still going strong, Mr. Prince Galloway. Yes, man. Then we have Mr. Stanley Jacobs. We know Stanley Jacobs as the leader of the 10 Sleepless Nights, still going strong. He's a Kwelbe musician and a flutist. Still going strong, Mr. Stanley Jacobs. I wish I could elaborate more on these people, but just because of time, in the essence of saving time, I have to move a little quickly. Then we have Mr. Wilbur Bill LaMotta. Yes, Wilbur Bill LaMotta. He actually is from St. Croix, but he had a band in the 1950s called the Motor Brothers, and they moved to St. Thomas in the 1950s because opportunities for music and musicians was much greater in St. Thomas at that time, mid 1950s. No, you couldn't make a living playing music in St. Croix or hardly in the Virgin Islands at that time. And so the entire band moved to St. Thomas, and they continued to play for many years. And he had a music store. He owned a music store in St. Thomas. The Music Man was the name of his store. The only brother who stayed here was the drummer, and his name slips me right now. He was the only brother who remained in St. Croix, the one who played the drums. But all the other brothers moved to St. Thomas. Yes. And then you have, oh man, Mr. John Lucien, another outstanding musician. I mean, hey, the fellows today need to know about people like John Lucien, man, because he was the man, a vocalist. You know, Mr. John Lucien of St. Thomas, he was the one who was largely responsible for what they call smooth jazz or adult contemporary smooth jazz. The stuff that he was doing with jazz music and in the 1970s was very influential and had a huge impact on the whole music industry in the United States, son. It's another. We got so many people, man. Mr. John Lucien, outstanding, man, outstanding. Then you have Camille Macedon, known as King Dobby, another outstanding Calypsonian here from St. Croix, son. That's the man that says controversial. I always describe him as controversial because his songs are so really social commentary. They're full with humor, a lot of humor and satire, but a lot of them are just social commentary, Mr. Camille King Dobby Macedon, and he's still going strong. Yes, man. The last hit I think he had here was the year before last, a song called Young People Thing. Yes, man, where he was blending the young people soca style, the young modern soca style with the older calypso style. And the song was called Young People Thing. Yes, and the station here, we played it a lot here in this station. Yes. Then you have Mr. Sylvester McIntosh, known to us as Blinky. He was a Quebec musician and saxophonist. Another outstanding musician. He did a lot for Quebec music back in the 1970s, playing with Joe Paris and the Hot Shots, man. They recorded a number of albums, about 3 albums there that helped to preserve a lot of Virgin Islands music, man. Another outstanding musician here. Blinky McIntosh, Mr. Then we have Mr. Alwyn Ladd Richards of St. Thomas. Yes, another outstanding musician, Mr. Ladd Richards. Outstanding saxophonist, Mr. and band leader. Ladd Richards had a band in St. Thomas in the 1950s, man, and 40s and 50s. And his band got a contract in the 1950s, late 1950s, to go to Florida to play for about 2 weeks, you know. They ended up staying for about 10 years. They were that good, and they made such a huge impression on the people there in Florida. The band ended up staying for about nearly 10 years, man, in Florida. They only were supposed to go to stay for about 2 weeks, you know, about 2 weeks. The band ended up staying for over 10 years, man. I mean, and they were doing so good, he moved his entire family up to Florida and put his children to school and everything. His nephew was the drummer with the band. His nephew was the well-known Brownie. Orvin Brownie Brown was a young Orvin Brownie Brown was the drummer in Ladd Richards' band at that time in Florida. Yes, man. Another outstanding musician in his own right, you know, Brownie. He was the drummer. Everybody knows him as the drummer for Milo and the Kings. And then he was an outstanding radio personality, a DJ there on the radio station, St. Thomas, for many years. Famous for always saying, good thing, good thing. That was his slang there, man. Good thing, son. Yes, sir. Mr. Brownie. Brownie Brown, what's his name? Yes, Orvin Brownie Brown. Yes, and he played with, as I said, he played with his uncle's band, Mr. Alwyn Ladd Richards, outstanding saxophonist. Outstanding. So all the old timers used to say that's the master of fene. He had the most fene and the saxophonist, son. What they call flourish. You say that was the master of the flourish, son. Yes. Next, we move to Miss Mary Richards. Miss Mary Richards of Frederickston was a folk singer, and she did some carousel. She is the one who is responsible for doing that recording of Clear the Road, that old carousel song, Clear the Road, you clear the road. Yes, that's the voice of Miss Mary Richards. She was actually a nurse.
Sly Mangoose.
Yes, and she did a version of Sly Mangoose also. Yes, Miss Mary Richards, she was a nurse, but as after she had problems with her sight, and so she had to give up being a nurse, and then she started volunteering her services to the Catholic school and going there and singing songs for the children, and teaching, even teaching lessons through music. Yeah, man, Miss Mary Richards of Frederickston, another outstanding musician. She didn't read and write music and all that type of stuff, but she composed her own songs. I think one of them she had was "Don't tie that donkey down there." I said, "Don't tie that donkey down there. That donkey is a perfect car, so don't tie that donkey down there." Yeah, man, and she had, so I think, Fried Fish and Fungi or something. She did a whole CD with songs, man. Yes, Miss Mary Richards. Then we have Mr. Lionel V. Roberts. Mr. Lionel Roberts of St. Thomas. They have the baseball stadium there named after him. Mr. Lionel Roberts was a band leader. He started one of the very first brass bands, the Roberts Juvenile Band in St. Thomas in the late 1800s, man. Mr. Lionel Roberts, another outstanding person there in music.
Who was credited for writing our, but it was from
Yes, yes, he was a contemporary and a very good friend of Mr. Rothschild Francis, who was also himself a musician. Okay. And then we have Mr. Louis Stockman. A lot of people don't know about Louis Stockman of St. Croix. Louis Stockman was one of the very first musicians we had here that left from St. Croix and went to make a career of music in New York City. He went to New York City in the late 1920s and he spent the 1930s playing with some of the big names, man, big jazz bands in New York City. Fletcher Henderson and Erskine Hawkins and those people in the 1930s, man. Louis Stockman, one of the best musicians, the old timers, many of the old timers, I always said he was one of the best, or probably the best that we had here in those days, man. Yes, Mr. And he still has family around. I know some of the family still here in St. Croix. But Mr. Louis Stockman, yes, outstanding musician. Only a few people remembers Louis Stockman. The people always said when he came back here, he lived in St. Croix for a short while when he came from New York, and then he went down to Puerto Rico where he built up a big reputation in Puerto Rico, man. And he became famous down there and well respected and admired by the Puerto Rican musicians down there. He played with a lot of the top bands in Puerto Rico for many years. And when he would visit St. Croix, he would come up on the sailboat. You know, in those days, a lot of transportation between islands was done by sailboats, and he would come up, and when the boat anchored in the harbor here in St. Croix, to the dock in Christiansted here to the wharf, he would sit on the boat there and play his he was a saxophonist really and a clarinet player, flute player, but he also played the Hawaiian guitar, and he would give a little concert, man. I know people have told me, older folks have told me, they would sit on the wharf there by the bandstand and listen to Louis Stockman playing his Hawaiian guitar, man. He would give a little concert there for the people before he came off the boat, you know. He would give a little concert playing his Hawaiian guitar. Yes, man. Mr. Louis Stockman. There's so much more about him. A great and outstanding musician. One of the very first that we had here to leave St. Croix and the Virgin Islands and go to New York City to pursue a musical career. And he was more or less successful at it. He played there for years, and but the years that he was there was the Depression years of the 1930s. And after he couldn't hack it anymore, he couldn't deal with that anymore, he came back home. He played for a while, for a few weeks, and then he moved to Puerto Rico. And he remained there until maybe just a few weeks before he passed away. He became ill. He moved back to St. Croix in around 1972. And he passed away just maybe a few weeks after he moved back to St. Croix. But yes, Mr. Louis Stockman, outstanding musician, Mr. Then we have Mr. Archie Thomas from Fredericksted. And everybody knows the Archie Thomas band. It was popular for, they made that popular recording of Archie Buck Me Up. Yes, man. Last Carnival, when we had a wonderful time when Archie bucked them up. Yes, man. And that, I mean, the band was so popular that the women started singing, you know, women around Fredericksted had this little slang going, the son I going dance tonight, they got Archie gonna buck me up, you know. Yes, my son. And hey, was one of the popular bands in the entire Caribbean at the time, son, late 50s, early 1960s, son, the Archie Thomas band. And they had that big hit, Archie Buck Me Up. He didn't write it. The song was actually written by Prince Galloway. Yes, Ernest Prince Galloway actually wrote the song, but he came home and he sang it at Christmas. He sang the song in the village here, in the Christmas festival village, in 1965, 66. He sang the song in the village, and Mr. Thomas, Archie Thomas, heard the song, and he approached Galloway and asked permission to record the song. And Archie Thomas did do a recording of it, and the song was a big hit, man, smash. For years, that was the song that when you're starting out in music here in St. Croix, that was the first song you learned to play. Yeah, now the first calypso song you would learn to play, Archie Buck Me Up. Yes. Then we moved to Mr. Wesley Thomas. He was really the brains behind the Archie Thomas band. He was the older brother of Archie Thomas. Mr. Wesley Thomas was a pianist, a band leader, and a composer. As a matter of fact, he was much more than a pianist because he played just about all the instruments. I've seen him play the piano. He played the flute. He played the piccolo. He played the bass horn, which is like a baritone horn. He played saxophone. He mastered a whole slew of instruments, my son. Mr. Wesley Thomas, another outstanding musician here from St. Croix, my son. I mean, the man was really outstanding, you know, outstanding. He could read and write music, he arrange. As a matter of fact, for a short while, he even had a concert band. He put together a concert band in Fredericksted, like a community band. And you know, and he picked up a lot of these skills, not only from his father, because his father, I can't remember his father's name now. His father was actually a piano tuner and an organist for the Anglican Church in Frederickston. And he taught his sons, Wesley and Archie, he taught them how to play music, he taught them different instruments and whatnot. Yes. So the Thomas family there was a very musical family. And as a matter of fact, we have more than there are a couple Thomas families who were prominent in music, because we know that Mr. Alfonso Thomas, better known to us as Scipio, he was an arranger, saxophonist, and a band leader. He, for many years, led a band called the Vibratones. And some people, I guess the older folks like my age and older, would remember the Vibratones. Yes, they came out in 1959 and really hit their stride in the early 1960s. Up to the late 1960s, the Vibratones was one of the top bands here in the Virgin Islands, man. Yes. The Vibratones, led by Mr. Scipio Thomas, also, and his brother, who was the bass player, Mr. Edwin Thomas. Yes, man, these outstanding musicians, man. Both of them, Edwin Thomas on the bass and Mr. Scipio Thomas on the alto sax, plus leading the band and doing all the arrangements, written arrangements, because he had his band reading musical scores. They played that for music. They could play by ear also, but they used to read. One of the first bands to be reading music here at that time. One of the first dance bands to be using written music. Yes, and then you have Mr. Winfred Vladimir Fred Thomas, my son. That's my boy, man. A very good friend of mine, a personal friend of mine. I knew Fred for many years, man, and he was a personal friend. Not an outstanding musician. He left here in the 1950s, went to St. Thomas for a short while, and from St. Thomas he went to Puerto Rico. He remained in Puerto Rico for about nearly 20 years or so. He played music, played with some of the top bands down in Puerto Rico. One of the bands that he played with that everybody knew about was a band named Coltijo. Yes, Coltijo Sucombo. Yes, and the Coltijo band was one of the top bands in Puerto Rico during the late 1950s and early 1960s. And after that band broke up in the early 60s, that's when some of the members went and they started, some of the former members from Coltijo's band started a new band called El Gran Combo. Yes, but Fred Thomas was the bass player with the Coltijo's band. And I have to mention Fred, another outstanding musician, man. I mean, he was what you call a triple threat. Yes, a triple threat means that he was equally at home on 3 different instruments. He was primarily a guitarist, outstanding guitarist. And he also was an outstanding pianist, played the piano. And then when he went down to Puerto Rico, he mastered the bass, the upright bass. And that's the instrument he played with Coltijo's band. He was the bass player for Coltijo's band for many years. Yes, man, outstanding musician, Mr. Fred Thomas, my son. And he played a few other instruments besides piano, guitar, and bass also. Well, let's just take a short break and we entertain a call. And let's see what this caller has to say. Good morning, caller, and welcome.
Morning, Pikey.
Yes, good morning.
This Milligan.
Yes, man. How you doing, Super Dad?
You know that Mula was a better player than Randy?
No, I didn't. I know the only thing I know. I knew Mola personally, but the only thing I knew, yes, I knew him as a baseball player. Yes, that's how I knew him as a baseball. But I didn't know he played music.
You are better player
than the younger brother Randy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I knew Randy also. I knew Randy personally. I played music with him with Talk on the Playboys for a short while. Yeah.
And skip your name is Alfonso.
Yes, I did mention it, Alfonso Thomas. Yes.
But we are so I'm not glad that you don't keep up this.
Well, you could take the opportunity right now and name some. Maybe I might have missed some. You could name some that come to your mind. Any 1 or 2 that come to your mind if you want.
No, I think I miss. No, I think I miss. Because my thing would have been
Well, you could mention some of them too. Because I mentioned Blinky, I mentioned Stanley, and I mentioned Jamesy. But we had some other outstanding people. I mean, hey, Ira Samuel played sax. I mean, Ira was a very good saxophone player, man. He had his own style, you know. We had some good outstanding musicians in Copeman music too. You know, Mr. Wilford Pedro, the blind man.
Wilfred McBean.
Oh, well, yes, Mr. Wilfred McBean, the floor master. Yeah, that was Bonewall's. I think he was Bonewall's father. Yeah.
Mr. Harris.
Vincent Harris, yes, Mr. Vincent Harris, another outstanding floor master here, and a man named Mr. Joseph Levine from Frederickstead also, another outstanding musician.
Some of them have been in my area in Frederickstead.
Yes, I know that. Yes,
the different streets and every day, every weekend, I hear music.
Yes.
I wish I already had a music museum for you.
You know, Akala, before you said that same thing, and I've always been saying that too. We really need a music museum for you, man. So where we could list
education too.
Yeah, man, list all these outstanding musicians, because I mean we had a lot of great musicians that just being forgotten, man. You know.
Right. And you know, the funniest thing, you know, you see with Bullion and Kafuna, you know that he started with like Reno. Gojing. I say, you know, that was the band, the original band we started with.
Well, I remember you played with that band when they first started.
The Spokes thing, what they had there by St. Flag area.
Yeah.
And Bullion get rid of him. He said they're too drunk, but they started the band. He said they're drunk.
Yeah, I don't know what was it. I don't know what was the story behind that, but
well, with the that man been setting up. And I passed and I said, squash man there. That's why I end up playing.
Yeah, but I remember seeing you playing squash with the band. That's what I'm saying. I know that for sure. I mean, nobody didn't tell me this. I've seen you and heard you playing with the band for sure. You know.
I play with Stanley. I play with GMC. I play with Blinky when Clark will make it, whoever. And the thing about it, I just said no. And the thing they used to pay you, right? So at the end of the vegetable market, and Pikey walk up to me and said, hand me an envelope. So I asked you what it is for. He said, man, you play me. I said, wait, do I get paid to play music? My money was to play the music. My money.
I believe you are just being modest, you know. You know full well you don't get paid, you know.
No, serious, because I never really like play with the band.
Right, yeah, okay, yes.
The Miller, James Miller,
yes.
Make me to play music again because I used to play clarinet, and they did that ugly thing in St. Patrick's. That's why I used to play music, and then after when I leave St. Joseph, I went to Central. I started playing music.
Okay.
And that day Miller tell me,
I remember you in Central. I remember you from Central. You were about 2 or 3 grades ahead of me, but I remember you from that time. Yes.
So we're coming down the road. We stopped by Glen, by Rayma. Them had a bar there, and they had a shop. He said, man, you go play music, you know. If I went and buy a can of orange juice, so the orange juice, I had a pick. And he said, no, sir. And that's why I started to play squash.
Oh, okay. All right. You had a metal can, man, a juice can.
And then we used to hire we. We used to play for Miss Watson, like for the people up by that hill up there in Galaxy. There's some houses up there. Like go overlook almost St. Thomas and thing.
Welcome, you mean? Welcome here. Huh?
No. Close to the Galaxy, they say close to the beach. We're not going by Lagoon itself.
Oh, okay.
We're not come around by what part that place where we got boat and things.
Yeah, oh yes, okay, yeah.
Over by LMS one.
Yes.
I carry with it. So we stop by our spot car and then envelope again. I said, man, what you again? He said, boy, you just play. All we do is play for day to eat the night. $200 in an envelope.
Wow.
Said, man,
that's good, man. The man who receiving the envelopes, man. That's good.
Yeah, well,
I could imagine, yeah, man.
Yeah, man. But music is a thing, man. Without music and education, there's a problem.
Oh, yes. Oh, wow. Yes.
Good health, education, and music. And go to work.
Right. I agree with that.
But you keep up with good works, man. You got some
one with I forget the name. What play one of them? What are you?
You mean the one with the man with a heap of names?
Yeah, that's the one.
Hey, listen, I always tell people I got a song from Miller Brothers, you know. I learned a song where I used to go and sing with the band.
So I'm trying to remember, I had a little smile, I live in Kennedy Project. We used to play when we play with 40. So I was after the Seaman brother, them, don't we play here, Penny Beach, we play to, we used to play for Ted Deal Wave every home all day. When the pool, where we pool point? Pool point, they call it, right?
Pool Point.
Going up, Eastern.
Oh, where he lived, where he used to live. Yeah, I don't know what they call it, but he lived at the kind of a little peninsula dropping out to the sea there.
Just like a place that we.
Yeah, I know the place. You know, I've been there one time. And they told me that's where Ted Dale used to live. It's somewhere up by Tamarind Reef.
In Vegas, got a scene set up, you know.
Okay.
Yeah, we went to play ball against the police, against fire police in Vegas. And we used to camp with them. I used to roast pig and things. Right, but it looks similar just to the one by Ted Hill.
Okay, yeah, I know that place. Yeah, I've been there one time. I went there to play some music too.
Yeah. We played for like 5 times.
Okay.
Yeah, man. But music is good, man.
Yeah, man.
I say we didn't come back, man.
Who's that?
Bomba.
Well, his wife told me he was supposed to come back, but last month time I met his wife to a function in Frederickston.
Almost a month or two. No?
Yeah, his wife told me he was supposed to be back. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to go and check him out.
You might see to the funeral. Oh, you don't get a funeral.
Well, I'm gonna have to go to a funeral soon because my uncle passed away. You know Roy Heads, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Well, that was my father's brother.
Yeah.
He and
Lorna was just telling me about it.
Yeah.
The girl, the lady that he married to is Lorna cousin or something.
Okay, yeah.
So I'm trying to make it. Me and you have been in class together too.
Yes.
Me and you work public work together.
Yes,
I went to fire.
Yes, I remember he and his brother Rodney, they were in Central High together at the same time.
Yeah, but I trying to remember what part you brother there.
No, Rodney passed away, no.
Oh, he passed.
Yeah, he passed some years back, more than 10 years ago. I think he was living in the States. He was in somewhere in New Jersey because Roy told me when he had passed, actually.
Okay.
Yeah. Who was living in St. Thomas was I think was the family this fellow oh boy you know you would know my sister, right? Gail Simmons.
Yeah.
Well, her older brother, she had an older brother.
Trio brother.
Right, he was living in St. Thomas.
Yeah, that I figured I mentioned that one because as you mentioned that they got to be.
Yeah, I forgot his name now, man. Oh my God, Eddie Arnold. Arnold. Yes, that was his name. Yeah.
Yeah, Eddie. Yeah, Bucklefoot Eddie.
Yes, that Bucklefoot. Yes.
Yeah, man. But you keep up the good works and I listen for the song.
All right, okay, man. Okay,
right.
Well, thank you. Yes, folks, we heading on almost to the end of the list here now, and the time really catching up on us too. And we can't forget to mention Mr. Peter G. Tolan, outstanding musician here and a bandmaster. People know Mr. Tolan as a lot of people know him as a joiner. He made chairs, he made beds. He used to make them old bedstead, mahogany bedstead, and mahogany tables, mahogany chairs, and all these type of things he's known for. But Mr. Peter Tolan was a musician also. He was one of the original members of the Navy band that was led by Alton Adams back in the day. Yes, and Mr. Peter Tolan started the community band, which was what was known as the community band here up to until about the 1970s, man. The community band, Mr. Tolan is the one who started that. Mr. Peter G. Tolan, and then his family is still around. Much of his family is still here today in St. Croix. Now we go to St. Thomas again. Mr. Harman Wallace, better known as Uncle Harman. Yes, another outstanding musician. He was one of them also who went to New York City in the early period and to pursue a musical career. But Mr. Herman Wallace played in St. Thomas. They like to call the instrument a bombardine, but the name of the instrument was a euphonium, very much like a baritone horn. But in those days, they called them a euphonium. It was a bass instrument. And Uncle Herman played that instrument. And I tell you, he was a master, an absolute master. I heard him one time. I think I had opportunity to hear him. One time he came to St. Croix and he sat in with the 10 Sleepless Nights down at the racetrack. At that time, it was a flamboyant racetrack. And he came with his instrument and he sat in with them and he played, man. I mean, and he had the dexterity as a trumpet player and this big, awkward-looking instrument, but he had the dexterity and the facility like somebody who was playing trumpet, man. He was a master. As a matter of fact, I think he taught music in St. Thomas for some years too. He was a teacher in the public school system, Mr. Herman Wallace, and he has some family still around because who are musicians too. Because I have a friend in St. Thomas named Wallace. Oh, what's Wallace's name again? Oh my God, he's a bass player. He's a nephew of Herman Wallace, and his older brother Vaughn Wallace, played the organ with a band named the Soul Sides out of St. Thomas. That was another good group, another excellent group of musicians that we had here in the Virgin Islands. The Soul Sides were from St. Thomas. And Vaughn Wallace, I think Vaughn Wallace is living today in Florida. He had a serious car accident and it left him somewhat paralyzed. So he doesn't really play music anymore. But his younger brother, Vincent Wallace, is the bass player, still plays music in St. Thomas. They are the nephews of Mr. Herman Wallace. Yes. Then we have Mr. Louis Andres Whitley, who was a music educator as well as a classical musician. Studied in Europe and whatnot. And I believe he might still be alive. I don't know if he lives in St. Thomas still. As he was living in Europe for quite a while. But yes, Mr. Louis Andres Whitley. Then we go to Miss Mary Catherine Williams. Oh man, that's the Queen of Cariso out of Frederickstead, my son. Mary Catherine, she was known just by those two names mostly, but her last name, she had Williams as a last name. That was a married name. Mary Catherine. Old time people used to say Mary Catherine. And she would ride around in her donkey cart and thing, and she had a drummer, a fellow who played the drums. I can't remember his name right now. But she used to live in Mount Victory, and then years later she moved to Prosperity, Estate Prosperity. She lived there. And then after she got up in age, she moved into Frederickstead town. And I think she was living in the area they used to call the Poor Yard. It was actually Aldersville down there on Strand Street. And it's a shame to see how this government has let that area deteriorated. The Poor Yard, Aldersville. It used to be the last thing it was used for was a place for senior citizens to meet and have parties and this type of thing. Today, when you pass by Aldersville, Poor Yard, the place is overgrown with a tree growing inside the place now, and a whole bunch of garbage and trash and thing. And homeless people actually live in there now. A lot of squatters and homeless people got the whole place full of garbage and all kind of things. And I don't know. And somebody even mentioned to me they got current and all. I don't know how they get current there, but somebody hook up current and all in them. But I tell you, listen, this place is anything that's happening in this place, anything could happen in this place. Listen. But yes, ma'am, Miss Mary Catherine, she was known as the Queen of Cariso. She was a Cariso singer, Miss, and an outstanding one at that. From all the reports that I got from older folks who knew her, who have heard her sing, they said, I mean, she was just the best, man. She was the best. And she was also a poet. She wrote original poetry and she sang her Cariso. And then next we touch on Mr. Ohaldo Williams, man. Master saxophonist, master musician, man. He had a band in New York City for many years. Many years he led a band in New York, one of the top Caribbean bands, or at the time you would say West Indian bands in New York City, man. Ohaldo Williams, well-known name, backed up all those Calypsonians when they would visit New York City and think his band was the one that played for them. You know, and then afterwards he moved back to St. Croix in the 1960s, mid 60s, had another popular band here in St. Croix, and then finally he was playing with James C. James C. and the Happy Seven, man, and he really the music really took off when he started playing with James C. Man, he brought added an extra dimension to Queller music, man. He gave it something they never had before. Yes, now master musician Ohaldo Williams. And lastly, we're going to mention Mr. Arthur Woodley of St. Croix. His roots is out of La Valley area there. Arthur Woodley is related to the Johannes family there in La Valley. And he was a classical singer, Mr. Arthur Woodley in New York City. They're a classical singer, a young fellow, but into the classical music. And you can find him also listed in profiles of outstanding Virgin Islands. Well, folks, I think we're up at the 9 o'clock hour now, or the 10 o'clock hour, sorry. We're up at the 10 o'clock hour now, and I have to be heading out of town, but we have finished our list. But, you know, this doesn't have to be limited to March, and we could always talk about music anytime. And before I leave, I just want to give a shout out to all those people who post messages online. We have Kimbra, we have Mr. Woodruff, we have Mr. Cheryl V. Charles, my son Yusef. How you doing up there in Texas? And then we have Miss Mary Abbott. I am not familiar with the name, but we want to say good morning to you and all the best. Heal up, everybody.
Russ is in studio.
And Russ is in the studio, yes. Hey, Russ will give me some sign language that I haven't tried for a while. I got to buy a dictionary for that. For that sign language, or give me some sign language that I didn't catch that before. But yes, folks, Russ Christopher is in the house today. Yes, for all those who, hey, listen, Russ having a big following, quite a few people, a bit, not more than a few, quite a bit of people. I always look forward to hear Russ on the Friday mornings, man. People always look forward to you. People always ask me, been on the station today? You coming in the station today? I tell them, well, he's going to be on, but he's not in the station, but he will be on via computer, you know, in the station. But hey, he's in the station today. He is in the house today. Folks, I have stolen about 2 minutes of Russ time, and I beg his apologies for that. But it's time for me to sign off and head off a town. We're going to turn it over to Russ Christopher now. And once again, good morning to all who posted messages online and to all those who didn't get a chance to post. I know I had some people that post a lot. Miss Booker. Yes, Miss Booker, she's a relative of Doc Peterson. And all the other people, because there's some other names. I haven't seen my friend there, oh my goodness, Simone. Yes, I haven't seen Simone for a while. I guess she's doing she involved in some other things. And I give a shout out to Brother R. Yes, I haven't heard from him in quite a while. Folks, have a happy and safe week and weekend until we meet here next week for some more Around the Table. Good morning.
Stand up.